It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM LP Philadelphia 106.5. Woo, excited to be here today. Philly, what's really good if you're riding around the city, 106.5, got us locked in, FM. If you're streaming anywhere in the world, we are happy to have you here. And of course, to all my people on LinkedIn, excited to have you here as well. Want to have a great show today. We got Mac Prichard. If you're familiar with Mac's List, or if you're not familiar with Mac's List, you will find out today. Mac Prichard is on the show today, so I'm really excited. Did some things with Mac in the past. Always have been impressed with the work that he does in the space of career, talent acquisition, job search, community building. So excited to speak to him. It's one of those days, Philly. I'm going to need you to help me out today, our audience, wherever you are. Today is September 8th. This is always a challenging day for me. It is my brother's birthday. My brother, his name is Kevin. We called him Juice. He passed away 9 years ago this October, but his birthday's always been special to me. He was a special guy, suffered from sickle cell, ultimately succumbed to that disease and passed away at a young age. We're 10 years apart. So literally when I was leaving the house to go to college, University of Maryland, he was 7 years old. So we didn't have that type of growing up in the same household relationship, but he's my little brother and I miss him. So I need you to hold me down, Philly. Speaking of Philly, what's good? Everybody in South Philly, thank you for checking in and doing what we do out here. North Philly, West Philly, Uptown, Southwest. It's 106.5. It's your man, Kenneth L. Johnson, the career expert here for you today. Thank you for joining us, please. All right, look, since I'm talking about brothers, I also want to give a shout out to, I guess we'll consider him my brother. He's as close to a brother as anyone could be. He's my cousin. His name is Craig Ford. He was out here in Philly, I think a week ago, receiving the Henry Nicholas Award from 1199C. Craig basically does a lifelong mission of supporting healthcare workers. He is president of 1199J Healthcare Workers Union, and I'm just excited and happy that he was able to win that award, honoring Henry Nicholas's legacy in 1199C. I could talk about that for days. Kind of grew up here under that tutelage with my aunt, and just wanted to say congratulations, cuz I appreciate you. All right. I use this time of the show to talk about what's going on in this world that we're living in, this work world that we're living in. And, I was sitting over the weekend, I was watching some TV. I think it was Sunday morning before football came on, and I was watching Meet the Press. Kristen Welker, I think she used to work here in Philly too, but doing the national show, doing her thing. But she was talking about the August jobs report. And it was really crazy. It reminds us that the world of work is shifting, ladies and gentlemen. There were only 22,000 jobs added last month. That's the slowest August in 15 years. Employment rate ticked up to about 4.3. It's the highest in nearly 4 years. Now, industries like healthcare and social services showed growth. You might want to get in touch with Craig Ford. He's the healthcare guy. But others, manufacturing, professional services, government jobs, all lost ground. So, on the Kenneth L. Johnson Show, we talk about career, we talk about culture, we talk about community. So what's that mean for us? Those are the things we built this show on. So from a career standpoint, right? If you're searching, this is the time to sharpen your edge. Focus on building transferable skills that make you resilient, no matter what sector you're in. AI, problem solving, and adaptability are what employers are asking for right now. This is what I've noticed. And we're going to talk to Mac Prichard a little later on to see what he has to say. When it comes to culture, right? Age, background, or identity should never define your opportunity. Never. But in a tight labor market, bias often creeps in. So that's why we keep this platform going, to remind you that your voice, your experience, and your perspective always matter. This is what we do. We want to be your source for career and job search information. We're building the community. So when you build a community, you have to support one another in times like this. Again, the economy is really crazy right now. 22,000 jobs added in August, lowest number in 15 years. But if you're employed, I'm going to ask a favor of you. I want you to mentor someone who's looking. I want you to share openings. Use this platform even to share them. I welcome that. And also, I want you to make introductions. Spoke with Alfred Edmond Jr. from Black Enterprise last week about that. And, mentorship, making introductions. That's when the job market is really at its most robust, when people are doing that, especially when it slows, your networks become your lifeline. So many professionals and job seekers listening today, here are 3 moves you can make right now. Lean into the growth sectors, refresh your brand, resume, LinkedIn, your networks, and of course, stay ready for the rebound, right? So to help you navigate things like that, I am extremely excited to be bringing our guest to the show today, Mr. Mac Prichard. Mac, how's it going, sir?
It's going well. Kenneth, thanks for having me on the show.
Man, I'm so excited to have you here, Mac. I was thinking I was coming up here on the train from New York City to Philly, and I'm like, we need to get a panel together. Mac is large out in the Northwest. He does the Northwest thing. I'm always representing East Coast executives, so I do that. We'll get somebody from the South, the Midwest, maybe Southern California, and we'll just do something. Let's try to put some people together and do some things.
I love that idea. And I also want to say thank you for sharing the story about your brother, and congratulations to your cousin on winning that award. That's terrific news.
Amazing. Not only is he my cousin, Mac, so we're about 5 months apart, but he was my college roommate at the University of Pittsburgh.
Well, that's terrific.
Super close, super guy. So I'm really excited for him. But let's not talk about him. I'm always talking about him. Let's talk about you. Tell our audience a little more or a little something about Mac Prichard.
I'm in Portland, Oregon. I run a regional job board, maxlist.org, and we serve employers and job seekers in Oregon and Washington State. But we also provide lots of information about how to look for work, Kenneth, and how to hire smarter. And we do this to serve our community. And the advice we provide about how to look for work and how to hire smarter, it works anywhere, not just in the Pacific Northwest, but throughout the United States and the world. And a big part of what we do to help our candidates with their applications is I host a weekly career advice podcast. So I've had the good fortune, we're coming up on our 10th anniversary, to talk to more than 500 career experts, including you, Kenneth, in the last 10 years. And I've learned so much from those conversations. And I've also been impressed by how the same themes and the same ideas keep coming up again and again.
Well, Mac, 500, speaking to 500 plus people, that's amazing. Here on the Kenneth L. Johnson Show, we always say you belong here. And I know that sense of belonging is it's pretty much at the heart of the work you do, right? So let's kind of start there. Why is community such an important piece of a successful job search?
It matters because so many jobs get filled through referrals and connections. And sometimes when I tell applicants that, they get worried. They think, oh, I don't have a network. I don't know anyone at the place where I want to work. But we all have a network. And the good news is we can make those connections and get those referrals if we're focused and strategic in how we look for work. And to your point about why they matter, both community and connections and referrals, it's because many employers want to reduce risk when they make hiring decisions. And one of the ways they do that is they rely on referrals and connections. And again, the good news here is if you're focused in your search, you can create those connections and generate those referrals. But to do that, you got to tap into your community. Too many applicants, I run a job board. I'm very proud of the value it offers, but too many of the people I talk to spend most of their time online. You got to step away from the computer, Kenneth, and you got to tap into your community.
I love that. We had Lisa Rango on the show from, wow, what is the name of her business? Lisa is an expert resume writer. We had Lisa Rango on the show, and she spoke about doubling down on people. That's her thing. So I understand what you're saying, and I love it. When we talk career on this show, It's usually about more than just landing a job. So I appreciate what you just shared. It's also about understanding the landscape. You've always had a unique view of the market. I'm wondering what your view of the market is right now. When hiring, what hiring trends are you seeing? And the things that you think job seekers and professionals should be paying attention to.
Well, two things come to mind. First, I want to uh, reiterate the points you were making about the current job market. It's tough out there, and the unemployment rate isn't at an historic high, but hiring is taken a lot longer, and there are many more applicants competing for a fewer number of jobs. So it's important to recognize that it's not in your head. Managers are taking longer to make those choices, and too many candidates continue to get ghosted when they do apply for positions. The second point I want to make, though, is hiring continues. It's not the way it was in 21 and 22 when it was a job seekers market, but people still get offers every day. And if you want to be one of those people, one of the one of the things that's in your control is to pay attention to job search fundamentals. And there are three that really matter, Kenneth. They come up again and again in my conversations on my podcast, Find Your Dream Job, and I hear them repeatedly from employers and candidates. And those three fundamentals are: know what you want, know where you want to go, be clear about what you offer.
Repeat those for me, please.
Know what you want. Too many of the applicants I talk to, and I get it. I was this way earlier in my career too, say, well, I could do anything. I'm open to all possibilities.
Yes.
And the problem with that is employers want to hire somebody who is going to solve their problem, who wants their job. Another problem is if you do get an interview, you'll probably be one of 5, 7, 10 people, and in that group, they're going to be people who really who know they want that job. They're not there to explore it or learn more. They're there to sell themselves. So you got to be clear about what you want. That's number one. And number two is you got to know where you want to go. You can go on my job board, Indeed, LinkedIn. You can find hundreds, thousands of jobs, but there are probably only a handful of jobs that you really want to do and where you are going to thrive. And our challenge when we do a job search is to get clear about about those employers rather before you apply. And because when you know who your target employers are, where you want to go, you can then focus your networking on those organizations. And an ideal target employer list is probably 24 places. It takes work to put that together, but it makes so much of a difference in a successful job search.
Number three.
Know what you offer. Again, this goes back to uh, sometimes people say, "Well, I could learn how to do that," and we all could. If you're curious and you're bright, and 99%, I mean, everybody's bright and curious. Uh, you can learn how to do something, but you want to play to your strengths, and you got to be clear about what you excel at. And this is when you've got to get over modesty. I'm originally from the Midwest. We're very modest out there,
Mhm.
and you got to toot your own horn. And so before you send out that first application, not only do you need to know the job you want, the employers that interest you, you got to be clear about your strengths and skills and do the self-assessment to figure that out so you can focus on what you can do for an employer. Because as you know, Kenneth, employers hire problem solvers. They've got something that's keeping them up at night, and they want somebody who's going to give them restful sleep and solve their problems. If you're clear about what you offer, you're going to position yourself in front of your competitors.
The three job search fundamentals from Mac Prichard. I love it. Mac, listen, I love you having that. Why have those three principles stood the test of time?
They, I think, because again, your listeners. I'm sure everyone who's listening to this show has done their share of hiring. Maybe they've made job offers. Maybe they've served on interview panels rather. But I would challenge your listeners and viewers to reflect back on when you made an offer or when somebody got a job. It's because that person was clear about what they wanted, why they wanted to be there, and what they offered. And there's a bonus fundamental, Kenneth, which you've already touched on, which is the importance of community and especially networking. And again, I think if your audience reflects back on the jobs that have given them the most satisfaction, where they've really thrived, those positions have probably come through a referral or connection, from a family member, a former colleague, maybe somebody you knew in school who told you about an opportunity. That referral didn't get you the job, but it got you your resume pulled out of a tall stack of applications. And the reason you got that referral was because the person who made it knew what you wanted, what you were good at, and where you wanted to go.
Listen, great information. It's the Kenneth L. Johnson Show live on WPPM 106.5 Philadelphia. We're here today with Mac Prichard. We're talking about the 3 fundamentals of job search that he's been seeing. Mac, one of the reasons people were asking me before the show, who's Mac Prichard? I had told everybody Mac was coming on the show. Hey, Mac, I don't know if you dip your feet into the world of hip hop at all, right? But there's a gentleman in Philadelphia, and he goes by the name of Mac. His name is Beanie Siegel, but he goes by Mac Mittens, the Broad Street Bully, all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So when I said Mac was coming on the show, people thought Beanie Siegel was coming on the show. I said, no. I said, no.
I'm honored.
I said, Mac Prichard, the Mac list. Yeah, that's who's coming on the show. So we're excited. We're kind of catering to our community and some of our community lives over there. So I thought it was really funny when people asked me about that. Look, culture really matters in these organizations, but it's really how candidates present themselves. Employers talk a lot about fit and value alignment. And I know you just spoke about, kind of knowing who you are, what it is that you want and what you offer, right? But to an organization, once you make that list of 12 companies, what is your advice to kind of figuring out and navigating what corporate culture looks like? And if you fit the culture of that organization?
It's before you finalize your list, you need to look at the organizational culture. And you also need to be clear about your values and what your negotiables and non-negotiables are, Kenneth. And you don't want to put on your list of target employers, and it could be 12, it could be 25, places that don't offer what you want, and that and not only in terms of values but culture. And the way to figure that out is to do research. You can do it online. You can have informational interviews with people who work at that organization. But to do that research successfully and to have those conversations successfully, you got to be clear about what your negotiables and non-negotiables are. And don't be shy about that. It's a big world out there. There are hundreds, thousands of employers where you could work. Your challenge before you send out that first application is to figure out what matters to you and come up with that list of target employers that offer what you want.
Yeah, Mac, I think there's so many different variables to coming up with the target list. I work executive search and we do retained search here at East Coast Executives. So I kind of work on the opposite side of that, but I've taken that philosophy from when I've worked the candidate side. Even doing contingency search, I needed to kind of know where people wanted to go. On the retained search side, I need to know what the companies really are looking for, because I'm competing against myself, really.
Yeah.
They have an ATS. They've posted the job a lot of times. They're getting candidates. I'm getting candidates. I need my candidates to outperform. So I need to make sure they match, and I can talk that culture conversation with my client, the end user, right? So when we have those conversations, oftentimes the things are really the same. People hire people that they like. They really do. And sometimes even over defined skill sets. I think to your point, you were speaking about, being a solution provider, right? Solving a problem. I think that's extremely important, but I think it's equally as important to be able to verbalize that you've identified that problem and that you know how to solve it as well. Do you have any advice for people once they've been successful in landing that interview and they get in there and they're meeting with the hiring manager? Do you have any advice on how they should position and brand themselves for success in that situation?
You want to position yourself as a problem solver. And there are you want to walk into that meeting with an understanding of what are the challenges that organization, that department, and that hiring manager face. You can do that in a couple of ways, Kenneth. You can, again, do simple online research. Check out people, get a list of people you're going to interview with. Check out their LinkedIn profiles. Do online searches. Find out what that organization and the people who work there, what their challenges are. Go on LinkedIn. Find people who either work with those people or work inside that organization. Have a couple of phone calls or Zoom calls beforehand to find out what the culture of the organization is like, but most importantly, what are the problems that department or employer are facing. So that's step one. Step two, when you, in any interview, after the employer's asked you a set of questions, you've got an opportunity to ask your own questions. This shouldn't be your first one, but maybe halfway through the period that's available to you for asking questions, ask this one. Say, if I'm fortunate enough to get this job, and you and I are sitting down in a year's time, and we're doing my annual review, what are the 3 things you want me to tell you that I've done for you? And I guarantee you, Kenneth, the person you ask that question of will pause, they'll think, they'll lean back, and then they'll tell you about something that's not in the job posting, that's not in the interview questions, some challenge that they face. You have an opportunity as you listen to do 2 things. One is you can reflect back on how you have solved a similar problem and share that story. And that shows that you've got experience and you've got ideas about how to deal with this. The second thing is you can do is engage in a conversation with a manager and ask them, well, have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that? And as you do that, Kenneth, the person you'll be problem solving together. And often the manager will start treating you as a peer. And you'll have a very rich conversation that will make you stand out from the 3, 5, 8 other people who are having an interview. And I can't guarantee this, but I think it's unlikely that your competitors will ask that question, and you'll have insights into what matters to that employer that the other applicants don't.
Well, they'll ask it now because they've seen Mac Prichard on the Kenneth L. Johnson show. So
yeah, the secret's out.
The secret
but
is definitely
please
out.
take it, do it, use it, because it comes back to again, employers hire problem solvers, and that's what gives us satisfaction in our work. It's not the only thing, obviously, but all of us enjoy getting things done and solving problems, and so we want to find a place that is clear about what it needs done and look for and to have an opportunity to contribute to that.
I love the way you positioned the information you just shared, because you allowed people to even go past the behavioral based interview techniques, right? And really make it completely conversational, right? Where you're actually offering support and advice on a problem or challenge that the hiring influencer or hiring manager may have. Love that. You said something earlier, Mac, about informational interviews. And I don't want to skip over that. I think that's really important. We may have some listeners that either don't know what an informational interview is or really don't know how to go about getting informational interviews. Can you touch on that a little?
Absolutely. An informational interview is a 20 to 30-minute conversation with somebody who can answer one or more questions that are important in your job search. And so once you know the position you want, or you're trying to identify the employers that could go on your target list. One way you can use informational interviews is to go out and ask people, what employers are out there that offer what you're looking for. But a good informational interview, sometimes it's called a networking meeting, is structured into 3 parts, Kenneth. The first part is you introduce yourself, you share your story, and you explain why you want to meet with this person. And you've done that by email, but it's good to remind people in person. The second part is there's a reason why you want this meeting. Maybe this person can help you build a map of the target employers that you want to approach. Maybe they've made the career change that you want to make. Maybe they got the promotion you want to get. But whatever that reason is, be clear about it before you ask for the meeting. And if you're not clear, that's okay. Just figure it out. Because in the end, it's a business meeting
Yes.
and you're in charge and you set the agenda. And if you're not clear about the agenda, that's okay. Just figure it out. So you want to ask 3 to 5 strategic questions. It's not about picking your brain or hearing your story. There's a reason why you're there in the room. That's number 2. And the third part of the 3 is you want to get connections or rather introductions to other people who can help you in your job search. And these could be people, again, who have done what you want to do or working at the employers where you want to be. And a great way to identify potential introductions is look on LinkedIn and see if the person you're meeting with knows people like that. And you can say, well, I see you're connected to Kenneth. Could I use your name or could you make an introduction? And at the end of the meeting, when you get up, here's what success looks like. That person knows who you are and what you want. So when they hear of something related to what you want, they're going to think of you. The second thing is you've added to your network and you've impressed someone because you've asked thoughtful, strategic questions. And the third is you've gotten introductions to other people.
I love it.
Yeah. Most people, as you know, Kenneth, might spend 80, 90, 100% of their time sending out online applications. You probably should. And again, I run a job board. Please use job boards. But if you're spending more than 30 to 40% of your time online, you're making your job search harder than it has to be because referrals and connections are so important. And especially if you want to find unadvertised jobs, informational interviews are a great way of getting those referrals and uncovering those unadvertised positions.
Indeed. Hey, Mac, we got about a minute to go here. We'd like to end our conversations with action. So for job seekers listening today, they may be frustrated. They may be ready for a breakthrough. What's the very first step you'd encourage them to take after this conversation?
I think too many job seekers wait to be picked, Kenneth. And so you need to take control of your job search and follow those 3 fundamentals. I have gone through 2 long periods of unemployment in my career, so I get it. I want to come back to your first point, which is the power of community. Most cities and towns have a job club. Find one in your community if you're even if you're not struggling, because you can learn job search fundamentals and make connections and grow your network. These are people who come together on a regular basis to share ideas and strategies, and they're often based in faith communities and churches and other faith communities.
Hey, Mac, how do our listeners stay connected to you and the work you're doing?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Mac Prichard. Please mention you heard me on Kenneth's show and visit our website, maxlist.org, and follow our podcast, which you can get wherever you get your shows. Find your dream job.
Man, Mac, this has been amazing. It's been a very powerful conversation. I want to thank you for sharing your insights and for the work you do helping people find jobs. It's amazing. I followed you for quite some time. I appreciate you. I value you and what you mean to this space. And for our listeners, listen, remember, here on the Kenneth L. Johnson Show, it's always about career, culture, and community. And never forget, you belong here. We're going to see you next time. But Mac, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank all of our